Hello, so my name is Heather Butts and I am the co-founder of the nonprofit Health for Youth. I was born in sunny Queens, New York. I'm a native New Yorker, lived here my whole life. Technically speaking, I was raised the first few years in the Bronx. Then my family and I moved to Queens, and that is where I grew up. So I am an associate professor at Columbia University at the School of Public Health. And I also run the nonprofit Health for Youth along with my co-founder, Anthony Antonucci. And we started the nonprofit several years ago. We saw a need for underserved youth who were having a challenging time getting into and staying in college. And so we decided to work with a small cohort of 20 students when we first started, and then we pivoted to create a program where we were service providers for other nonprofits. And now we provide services to approximately 90 organizations, nonprofits, schools, and we work with about 7,000 students every year. I knew that I had a passion for work and service in the community at a very early age. I went to Princeton undergrad and I was a residential advisor. And I remember when I was interviewing for that position, talking about how much I loved to give back and work with individuals that had needs. And from there, I just always found myself volunteering and doing work with the community. And eventually that led to starting Health for Youth. So it's something I always knew I wanted to do, even from an early age, probably even before I was in college. And it just kind of has grown as I've gotten older. Gardening, I've been a gardener since I was a child. I've gardened with my family. I've always been somewhat interested in gardening. I also, as I got older, I saw gardening as a tool to be able to use with young people. Gardening is one of those things where you can be in a garden and basically have some quiet time. It's not like playing a sport or an instrument or gaming. It's something that you can do and have sort of a peaceful existence with it. So I always thought of gardening as a conduit to relating with the students that we work with. And also, it's a fun pastime. I think so. And it's something where at the end of it, you have the satisfaction of knowing that it's a job well done. You see the fruits of your labor, pun intended. So working with community members has been really rewarding. I've met people that I otherwise would never have met if I weren't doing this kind of work, from elected officials to community members to people coming from all walks of life. So I feel very grateful that I've had the opportunity to meet some really unique and special individuals, and the ability to be able to help people who otherwise might not be able to get the kind of help that they need is gratifying in a way that it's difficult to think of other ways being quite that gratifying, at least for me. I would want people to know how grateful I am to community media of Staten Island, finally got the name right, and very grateful to Dea and Massimo Felici. This is the kind of work that is rewarding, it's challenging, but you don't do it alone. And so to have entities that are willing to go on this journey with myself and with the students that we work with is very humbling and gratifying. So I thank you. And I thank everybody out there that watches our show. And please keep watching.
How you doing, folks? My name is Massimo Felici. I'm the executive chef at Don Cheech, Vinum, and also the Belvedere Club here in Staten Island. I was born in Milano. My grandparents are from Tuscany, Siena, and my mom is from Puglia, the area of Bari. I always had a passion for cooking. I grew up in my younger years with my grandmother in Milano, and I always wanted to be hanging out in the kitchen with her, helping her making risotto. And the first time I started making money with my mom was me helping out in the kitchen and do chores. So, I always loved hanging out in the kitchen at my parents' house. Well, when I was going to school, I needed to make money, obviously, for my pocket and to buy myself some fancy jeans and hang out with chicks. And the best way of making money was working in restaurants. A lot of people that I knew worked in restaurants, so I was able to get in. I got in mainly in the beginning as a busboy and then a server. And then I was a young I started working when I was 15, 14. And then I liked it, enjoyed it, started making a nice amount of money. But I started gravitating to the kitchen at an early age. Well, working in Staten Island, I used to own restaurants. When I moved, I opened my first restaurant when I moved back to Italy in my early 20s. I got a job there working for a restaurant in Florence, actually. And I moved there for a little bit, thinking I was going to stay there for a few months. I ended up staying a lot longer because I found a little tiny restaurant, 35 seats, that was closed. I was able to put some money together and opened it up, and I ended up staying there for an additional 5 years, and it was an incredible experience cooking for Italians that grew up with their own chefs in the kitchen, their mothers, their aunts, their grandmothers, and I was very well received, thank God. And then I moved back to the States, and I opened my first restaurants in the mid to late 90s in New York City. And I owned a restaurant called Ribollita and then La Nonna. And then moved on and just opened a couple of restaurants here and there. And then I ended up moving to Staten Island. And for a better quality of life, I live and work in Staten Island, a few blocks away from the restaurant. Makes it easier on, on your wife and kids.
All right, so hi everybody. We're in the garden. It's great to see you. And so in this particular bed, we have some rosemary and we have some sage. And so these plants, they're both perennial plants. So what that means is basically that these plants, if you plant them one year, they're going to come back year after year. Some of the plants that you see earlier in the season that are bulb plants, they are not perennials, and so you have to kind of keep planting them year after year. We have some marigolds here. You got to keep planting them year after year. But these are perennials, so they come back every year. They are in the mint family. And sage has a sort of folklore of helping people with wisdom and their mental acuity. That's the same thing with rosemary. We planted them here basically because this is a bed. We have some peppers in here, but there's not a whole lot else going on in here. And our hope is that we make this into a larger herb garden. The beds that we use here are these Vigo beds here. So a big thank you to another organization, New York Restoration Project, that donated these beds to us and helped us redesign this garden space. So this is the second of our garden spaces here at Skyline Community Garden, the Health for Youth Garden. We have 10 beds here, and the front part of the garden is our Lenape garden. So we created a traditional Lenape garden with traditional Lenape vegetables, namely corn, beans, and squash. You can also put sunflowers in Lenape gardens as well. Traditionally, they're on a mound. Ours are in these lovely beds, and basically each of the crops supports each other. So in the other beds in the garden, it's a traditional Lenape garden, and this is our Lenape garden space. And in this part of the garden, we have lettuce, and we have chives, and we actually planted potatoes in this bed too. So you see the sort of the little humps. That's the way that we planted the tomatoes. The tomatoes are actually laying on the other side of the hump. So this is basically our herb garden. We're going to add more herbs to it as time goes on. Hopefully we'll be able to get some more things from Massimo so he does not complain about the fact that we never bring him anything, because we're going to be bringing him more stuff this year. And we're happy to have you here in our herb part of the garden. All right, so today we are going to be actually bringing some herbs to Massimo to whip up some fabulous Ossobuco. So we're going to be bringing him some sage, and we're going to be bringing him some rosemary, and hopefully he can utilize them well in his dish. So, Chef Massimo, what will we be cooking today with these fine ingredients from my garden, Health for Youths?
I thought it was our garden. So anyway, well, today we're going to be making ossobuco. So we're going to use the fresh sage and rosemary to infuse the whole sauce. I love it. It's going to be great. Ossobuco, we're going to make a pork shank ossobuco. Ossobuco means it's a shank. In Italy, we do ossobuco alla milanese, which is a traditional ossobuco style. It's made with veal. We're making it with pork because veal is very, very, very expensive. In Italy, we make it with veal or with beef, which, by the way, hint, hint, veal and beef is the same animal. Many of you don't know that, unfortunately. Veal is just a younger beef. Until 8 months old, it's considered veal, that rosy color. After 8 months, it becomes darker. So by 12 months, it's considered a beef. That's why veal is so freaking expensive. Delicious with pork, I'm telling you. I love it. It's a shank. Nothing not to like about shanks, period. Lamb shank, veal shank, pork shank. Today's going to be pork alla milanese, which means I'm going to serve it with a saffron risotto. And on top, I'm going to put the ossobuco and all that beautiful sauce, braised in red wine, and your beautiful fresh herbs.
Amazing.
Thank
Can't
you.
wait. I'm ready.
I'm going to see you boys and girls downstairs. Now I'm ready to go. Today we're going to be making ossobuco. Unlike the ossobuco alla milanese, today we're going to use... instead of veal, we're going to use pork shank, all right, as we told you earlier. So we're going to do a little celery, carrots, and onions. So there's two ways of cutting. Either the one with the noise, the one without the noise. You know that? This is one. Basically, your knife never not touch the table. It goes up and down motion like this. And that's how a lot of people do it. Others instead, they do it this way. It goes up and down. Capish? There's the beauty. You put a little vegetable oil right here to get a little sear on my ossobuco. So we're gonna generous amount of salt on the outside of these babies. All right, there we go. Look at the size of these suckers, man. They're about a solid 16, 18 ounces. I'm gonna put a little flour on them. Go in the pan, baby, go in the pan. Okay? We're gonna wait for this to get nice and hot. You're gonna smack the meat like that. You're gonna smack like this, like that, bad boy. You're gonna put them in. Vedo mare quanto è bella, esprime tanto sentimento. All right. Wow, look at these beautiful herbs. Wow, Heather. Thank you. Oh. All right, we got some rosemary, some beautiful sage from the garden. All right. We're going to put these in with my beautiful Ossobuco. Yeah. So after, now we got a nice sear on them. We take these babies out, okay? I don't need this oil. This is just for me to get a nice roast out of it, okay? Just leave a little dash in there. Freshen it up with a little olive oil. And we're going to throw our veggies in there. All right, that's enough. All right, we're going to do a little chopped onion. This is for my base for my risotto alla milanese, which is the saffron risotto that we're going to serve with the ossobuco. A little tomato paste. All right. You're going to let that caramelize a little bit with the veggies, the tomato, okay? Make it nice. Risotto. Risotto. We got a little extra color on the onions. Don't worry, it's okay. Just a little more caramelized. All right. We're going to let the rice toast on the bottom of this. All right. Going to move it around a little bit, and then we're going to start to wet it. I'll show you. On this side, the veggies are ready to go. So now we take these beautiful pieces of shank, and we're going to put them in there. All right. Now we're going to wet it with some red wine. But as usual, you're going to make sure it's good. It's good. Can't drink it. You can't cook with it. Don't be cheap with the wine. There we go. All right. Look at that. Look at that. Now we're going to burn the alcohol out a little bit. The red wine's going to give a beautiful sweetened flavor to that. Okay. When that's burned off, we're going to go back to it a couple of minutes. On this side, we have the toasted rice with the onion and butter. I know, I should have done the white wine first. I don't like to do red, then white. White first, then the red. A little white wine. And now we're going to wet the risotto with this. Beautiful. Okay. We're going to let that burn off a little bit. And on this side, the red wine the alcohol has evaporated. So now, what we do now is, this is going to take about, the reason why we tied the shank is because we want to wait until the meat basically falls off the bone. So the rope is holding the meat together when it's done, and then afterward you just cut it. This is a little bit of a beef broth. You could use also chicken stock. They sell them in most stores. Nice. Try to buy one that has no salt, no sodium in it. Or you just make yourself some stock. Or if you can't find one, be careful because it's got salt in it, so it might become too salty. So now we're going to put some broth in there, like this. We're going to take this. What I like to do is the rosemary, I like to take it off because what happens when it cooks, all these little twigs are going to fall off. You're going to find twigs everywhere, these little, spiky things. So we're going to chop them up. Very, very, very small. Usually I do a bouquet of it, but I prefer to do this. And the sage, believe it or not, we'll just throw it in like this. That's plenty of sage, but it's for me, so I like a little extra. We throw like that. So now,
you're pretty much done with it. Now he's going to do his own thing. What does that mean? We're going to put aluminum foil on this, and we're going to put it in the oven. So it's going to take at least 2 hours, okay? Could take closer to 3. That all depends on the piece of meat itself. Where, you know, the type of animal, how big it is, and so forth. How do you test it out? My friend, you go over there with a fork, you see if the meat is soft. If the meat is soft, the freaking meat is done. So you got to play with it a little. Like I said, 400 degrees, give or take. Aluminum foil, 2 solid hours for sure. The risotto now, it's here. You're going to start to wet it, little at a time. Lower the flame, and you're going to make the risotto. All right, so now aluminum foil. There we go. You're going to cover this up. You know, go check it every so often in case if you don't seal it good enough, it might evaporate and it might dry out and you're going to find it burnt. So try to make it nice and tight, okay? But double check it. You might get bored, you know. Go check it out in a half an hour, see how it's doing. If you think it's drying out, you just add a little bit more broth. Chicken stock or whatever, or maybe even a little more water. All right, and that's in. All right, Papa. There we go. Now that stays in there. Saffron. I love saffron, man. I love it. Oh, love it. Look at that. I like to do this. I like to take a little bit of broth. And just throw it in here. See? You got to keep adding broth to it. I'm mixing it up between beef broth and chicken broth. Obviously, the beef broth got a lot more flavor. Like I said, you could go either one. You can find them these days, Stop and Shop, and these really good quality, already made. Be careful with the ones that have a lot of sodium in it. So you could just hold off on the salt part of it for the Ossobuco if the broth you're using has a lot of sodium, like especially the bouillons. And while you're waiting for those 2.5 hours and you have guests, little chunks of cheese, a little piece of salami, a little white wine, you hang out in the kitchen. Now, obviously, I don't recommend drinking for 2.5 hours while the Ossobuco is cooking. You might be a little spent. All right, what we're going to do here, we're going to freshly chop some fresh parsley. Okay, Italian parsley. We're going to make a little gremolata. Gremolata is fresh parsley, lemon zest, and garlic. And we chop it all up. And then when you serve the Ossobuco at the very end, you put it right on top. And you have that beautiful scent of the lemon zest popping at you and the raw garlic and the parsley when you serve that beautiful Ossobuco. Throw a little salt on it. This is a little trick. It's a little something that, because of the granulated salt mixed together, makes it a little easier to chop everything together. You're going to say, oh, that's weird. Well, it is what it is, but it does work. Lemon zest. Oh, the smell of that is beautiful. With the heat from the hot food that we're going to put on the bottom, and this we're going to put it on top. It's all going to release all those beautiful scents of the lemon, the garlic, and the parsley. You're going to love this. This is the saffron broth. We're going to put it in the risotto soon, okay? All right. These suckers look pretty good. Should be ready by now. Let's go check it out. All right. Oh, yeah. All right, we're going to throw the saffron in here now, okay, for the risotto. Look at that. Guys, be fair, give me a wooden spoon. Really? All right, we're ready. We're going to get to this. Now, we're going to mantecare the risotto. At the very end, oh, look at that. Nice. Oh, yeah. Look at that baby. Look at that baby. Oh, yeah. Look at that. Falling apart. Look at that. That's what I'm talking about. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Look, look, look. Yeah. That sucker is ready. You know, lower the flame. Now we're going to mantecare the risotto. At the very end, you're going to mantecare. The introduction, I don't know how to say it in English. Well, at the end of the day, it's going to mean you're going to throw a lot of cholesterol inside. Butter. Don't be shy. All right. I'm going to throw good butter in there. And a nice amount of Parmigiano. Okay? Look at that. Here we go. Here we go. Hint of salt. And now we're going to make sure that the butter melts in this beautiful risotto. All right. We're going to go with this. All right, now we're going to look at this beautiful sauce. Oh, look how thick. Look at the color of this thing. Oh. Look what we got. Oh, look, Heather. This is your sage. I'm going to put it to the side. No need for that right now. Right here, la gremolata. When it hits this heat, oh, put it right on top like that. Ossobuco alla milanese, made with pork instead of veal. Delicious. Well, let's go double check, okay? Let's go, guys. Let's go eat. How you doing, folks? We're back upstairs from the kitchen. And Ossobuco alla milanese. But like I said, the version will be done with pork instead of the custom veal. Let's see this. Oh, look at that. 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 Pull it apart.
Literally falls.
Did you see a knife over there?
I did not see a knife.
You did not see a knife there, right?
See a knife.
Okay, good.
There's no knife.
Look at that. I'm going to just... Oh, look at that. Are you serious? Mano. All right, listen to me, folks. Folks, buon appetito. Now, it's not a hard thing to make. It does take some time. But once you do what I showed you, you throw it in the oven, let the oven do the work.
Delicious.
That's it. You can serve it. I mean, I do it with risotto. You can serve it with, you want to serve it with mashed potatoes? Mm-hmm. Unbelievable. As long as you have something that's going to soak that sauce up. Because that sauce from the Ossobuco, it is, I'm telling you, you could drink that stuff. It's so good.
I got to tell you, this, okay, so how Massimo pulled it off like that, the level of tenderness here, it's hard
well, listen
to
describe.
To me.
The shank is an excellent piece of meat on all of it. Lamb shank. Listen, lamb shank. I love lamb shank. Pork shank, veal shank, beef shank in general. It's a tough piece of meat. Mm-hmm. But once it breaks down, it's juicy, it's tender, falls off the bone. It's delicious. Like I said, if you have the scarols, you buy a beautiful veal Ossobuco. You want to get at least a 2-inch thick. Don't get it thinner. You want a 2-inch thick. That's what you need. And I've done beef too. Remember, veal and beef is the same animal, except the veal it's an animal. It's a young beef that is about 800 pounds, 8 months old or less. And then when it gets older, the meat gets darker. Still delicious. It's just a bigger animal. The veal is just a lot more delicate. Signori, listen. Buon appetito.
Buon appetito.
Salute, chin chin. Enjoy your weekend. And I'll see you next time.